Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Gonna talk to you guys this morning about an update on the Gus Cordova incident, right? If you didn't hear, just yesterday, Sports Illustrated put out a story that Texas was backing off the recruitment of Gus Cordova. He's a four-star defensive lineman from Texas, and he made a mistake. He pranked a teammate with some peanuts, and his teammate is deathly allergic to peanuts. Now, I thought it was just a throwaway story, not a big deal. Wasn't too worried about it, kind of left it alone for most of the day. And then I got tagged in a TikTok video for like 100 times. I'm not even joking. I'm not exaggerating. In these comments, of these 592 comments, 100 of them say, @Rico Knows. So I said, okay, what's going on here? This gentleman put out this video. His name is 1A Train. It appears 1A Train is absolutely ridiculous. He says he's a former pro football player. 1A Train is out here spreading just false information, and no one cares. Now, I made a video last night. This gentleman wrote to me and said, prove that you talked to this kid. So let me slow down a little bit. I talked to Gus. I talked to Gus Cordova, reached out to the young man. I said, hey, what's going on here? Did you really attempt murder? Are you a murderer? What did you do? Why did you do it? Explain yourself. And before I ever did that, though, this young man, or this man out here, put out this video, and I'm going to let you guys see this disgusting video. First and foremost, it says Gus Cordova is a murderer. He's missing the ER at the end of this. Apparently, he's a former pro. He didn't go to class. But let's see what he has to say.
What? It is wild to me to know that you can be an attempted murderer.
Attempted murder.
Get away with it because your family has money, and yet still keep your stars, yet still go on recruiting visits. So this is defensive lineman Gus Cordova. On March 8th.
Cordova. He said Cordova. The last name is kicking his ass. Anyways, let's go on.
He's going to Alabama. March 9th, he's going to LSU. March 18th, Ohio State. March 23rd, USC. April 6th, Texas A&M. April 20th, Texas. Here's what Sark's Lambo plug had to say. I feel like college football world needs to collectively pass on this kid. Attempted murderer feels disqualifying.
Once again, that says attempted murder, not murderer. He believes that this word here is murderer. This is crazy. I don't know how he got there phonetically, but more power to him.
If y'all didn't know, Gus Cordova,
once again, Cordova,
had a conversation with his teammate in regards to, does peanut butter does anything to you? Does it do anything to you? Clearly his teammate, and I'm not going to disclose his name, said yes.
You know why he's not going to disclose his name? Because he didn't go look for it. Because he did no research to try to disclose his name. He didn't want to find out the facts of this case. He built this entire video off of this tweet up here, and he rolled with it. He read one story on On3, and he rolled with it. He read one story on the Longhorn Network or whoever the hell else wrote one, but he does not know the facts.
I have an allergic reaction to it. Gus Cordova decided to take things into his own hands as a quote-unquote prank and put peanut butter
not true
all over his teammates' equipment.
Not true. Not even remotely true, but we'll go on.
Uniform. His teammate had an allergy to tree nuts.
Tree nuts or peanuts? I don't know what he's talking about. Tree nuts? Like nuts that grow on trees? What are we doing?
Gus Cordova decided to put peanut butter, as I stated, all over his equipment.
Peanut butter all over his equipment? No.
Gus Cordova,
his friend,
later died.
Now he says he died. So this is why he's saying it's murder. Up here it says attempted murder. Now we got the rumor mill going crazy all over the internet. He later died. According to this guy, 1A Train, and 8,300 people have liked it. If you guys don't know how this works, the ratio, 8,300 people have liked it, probably 83,000 people, 1/10, 83,000 people have viewed this video. Look how many people have favorited it. It's been shared. this misinformation is being spread on the internet, and it's absurd. Nobody died.
Because he thought it was just a prank and a joke. How sick can you be?
How sick can you be? Spreading misinformation. How sick can you be? So I get that TikTok sent to me last night, and unfortunately I was in the middle of an episode on my linebackers. Shout out to you guys who watch the live streams. Go to YouTube, tap on the live tab, you'll see them. I did my linebacker podcast last night, but before I did the linebacker podcast, I did reach out to Gus Cordova, and I sent him a message, and I just said, hey man, what's going on? Talk to me. Give me the details. Let's be accurate. And he reached back out and said, well, to be accurate, he said, I haven't lost any offers. I haven't lost any offers. Now, for Gus to say I haven't lost any offers kind of bugged me. It didn't sit well with me. I don't give a shit about your offers. I want to know the truth about your situation, right? And I explained that to the young man. I'm much more interested in what you're doing or what you did and why you did it, not your offers and whether or not Texas is still interested in you. Shout out to Texas. They did call him last night. But, excuse me as I bring the kid up here. This is the Gus bus, Gus Cordova here. He's a defensive lineman, 4-star player. A lot of people are recruiting him. You see all the trips. But what I'll say is after giving the young man a chance to explain himself and give me his side of the story, this is not attempted murder. This is an ill-made decision. This is a poor decision, and I think there should be consequences for it. I do, and I think the young man already had the consequences for it. So let me explain. I'm not going to paraphrase this young man's side of the story. I'm going to read it verbatim because I don't want anything to get lost in translation, although I will be translating or I will be giving my interpretation of what he's saying. But I'm going to read it for you guys now, and then we'll see what you guys think. Gus Cordova. He says he was at a Restore Wellness getting an IV for the next day because he had a game the next day. He was sitting across from the victim. The victim's name, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to just give you the letter. The letter's M. So we're going to go by initials here. They do that in court. They go by initials. So we'll go by initials M. And so the victim's M. And the subject came up of M not being able to go to Texas Roadhouse. If you haven't been to a Texas Roadhouse, it's a pretty disgusting place. They eat a bunch of peanuts, and they just throw them on the floor. You don't have to clean them up. You just make a mess, throw them on the floor. And he said he couldn't go because he had an allergic reaction. And because there was peanuts on the floor, at one point he ended up in the back of an ambulance. Now, Gus thought he was just messing around and playing and didn't think anything of it, okay? So the next day, they're in the locker room. He and a buddy, and he gives me his buddy's name, and he tells me what they did, but they had peanuts given to them by the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders give them candy, peanuts, maybe some trail mix, whatever it is. And he had some peanuts. And the buddy will go with an initial P. So P's locker has peanuts in it. So they grab 10 peanuts and they put them in this young man's cleats. There was no peanut butter. There was no peanut bars, none of this other crap. He put peanuts in his cleats. And after a couple of minutes, they realized, man, this might be dangerous. Let's not do this. So they went and grabbed the cleats, and the two young men dumped out the peanuts from the cleats. But we all know the damage had already been done. The residue was in the cleats, and they didn't clean them out properly. And the young man later that day, they were washing their hands together, and he started to have hives and a breakout on his hands. Now, Gus Cordova told him, hey, man, my bad. We did a prank. We put peanuts in your cleats, just a heads up. Kid looked a little annoyed. He was a little upset, but it was no big deal. And he went on and he played in the football game that day. Let me make this clear. He played in a football game 2 hours later after this prank. It was not attempted murder. He was not hospitalized. He didn't die. He didn't nearly die. He played in the football game. Now, everything was okay until the young man, the victim, told his parents. Then his mother was irate, and we know how that goes. Now, his mother claimed that this is attempted murder. His mother wanted things to be done. So the two young men who were involved in the prank, Gus and his teammate, were both suspended and didn't get to play in the next couple of games. And during that process, they were punished after practice. The young man was grounded. The young man had to write apology letters to the parents and the victim. 1-page long letters and all this stuff. But he served his suspensions and then eventually got back on the field and played his games. There was no attempted murder. It was nothing really that egregious. It was a poor decision. It's immature. Hasn't lost a single scholarship offer. And all in all, seemed like a pretty stand-up kid for giving his side of the story. Now, obviously, there's 3 sides to every story. There's his side, the victim's side, and then the truth. But from what I can tell, I just want to get the misinformation off the internet. I want people to stop spreading attempted murder rumors. I made a video yesterday, and I made the assumption that, hey, this young man, if he did this, I think he should lose his Power 5 opportunities and have to work his way to the highest echelon. Now, some people were taken back by that. Well, Rico, if he couldn't play at Texas, he shouldn't play anywhere. And I'm trying to explain to you guys, I don't think your life should be ruined by a mistake as a teenager. I think it should change the trajectory of your life. I think it should no longer be like this, and it should probably be like this and a roller coaster, and get used to it. That's life, man. That's how it happens. All right? You get a DUI, you still get to drive. It's not the end of the world, but you might lose your job. You might have some issues and difficulties, but you still bounce back. And I think a DUI is much more egregious than this. Much more. So shout out to Gus Cordova for actually trying to set the record straight, talking to me, giving me his very long assessment of what happened here. I want to say this. One of the things he wrote was, you can go and see the young man, the victim's highlights. And he actually played in that game. It's on his Huddle film. Obviously, I watch a lot of Huddle film. The last thing he wrote to me was, hey, Rico, you mind doing a film review for me? Yes, I do mind. You can pay like everyone else and get on the waiting list. You will not get a freebie from me. Most people don't. I would say 99.9% of people don't. So shout out to Gus Cordova. Shout out to the victims. But I don't want anyone to go around saying this young man nearly killed someone. There was no big deal. There was an investigation by the police department. There was an investigation by the school district. No one's been arrested. No one's been charged with anything. It's not that way, man. It's a kid who made a poor decision. It was a prank. He got punished accordingly, and we move on. So please stop spreading rumors that the kid nearly killed someone. Stop spreading rumors that he's an attempted murderer or a murderer or a murder. A-Train, whoever you are, buddy, fix yourself. And your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay up, y'all. Peace.